5.
It's a short, all paid for. Yeah, we see good ones else in this.
You what?
So we said, well.
They should be coming. Anne's not able to make it.
Last week. You know. We are feeling incredible, so we got a tremendous amount of, state department things, so we. And good.
When the weather was bad, I didn't switch things in there.
Yeah, I remember writing you that last year, so we pulled up and.
Okay, but except under my car, and I broke part of the carriage. And I'm like, I'm putting this nutrition weekend. I don't think so. And Travis is like, well, they may be able to fix it by.
Okay.
by Friday, but
Oh,
another car, so we're fine, we're fine. But Travis is like, they're pretty good investigators. I didn't even know. Yeah.
yeah.
He did, and I couldn't, and I did check the front of the car, though, like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's awful. And I didn't bring it back to memories too. Thanks.
Wow.
I'm all right, sorry.
So Anne's not coming.
No.
It says. The State Department one advises follow. It's after power. Waiting to hear from you, and you waiting to hear from me. So I don't want you to be. All right, 6 o'clock, recording has started.
Yep.
All right. No. I want to make sure I'm not. Call board in this regular meeting of the Buckeye City Council this Tuesday, February 10th, 2024. 6 p.m. Welcome. Remember the public attendance, that's great. It's always good to have somebody here. We'll start with the item 1 on the agenda, which pledge of allegiance. I'll be reading our expression of thought. Councilmember Bill, please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very thankful to be gathered here today as a representation of this great city. We're grateful to be here and be able to have the trust that we've been given to represent the city. Please bless us that as we discuss city business today, that we might do so and be mindful of what's in the best interest of residents in the city. That please bless our first responders, police officers, and our firemen, that might be safe, protected, and watched over as they keep our community safe. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Councilmember Arrington is away on business. Pleasure.
Pleasure.
All right, good for.
She's out.
We'll go with item 1B, which is declaration of conflicts of interest. But we have a chance to review the agenda and not hear any conflicts to declare.
No problems.
Can't see none. We'll move on to 1C, which is public comments and questions for the mayor and council, and if the public wish to address. State your name so I can get on the tape.
Great. So Russ Anderson, I live on 550 West in Pleasant View. Been a member or a citizen for 16 years. I walk often over in Shady Lane, so I live by Shady Lane. And I'm a little bit concerned. We've lost 6 to 8 pine trees the last 2 years, maybe. We've got 6 that are actively dying right now. So my questions, I really have 2 things. One is, are we doing anything to try and prevent that? I think it's probably a pine beetle or something, and maybe it can't be helped. But my second is, are we doing anything to replace it? So that's my request. They've been around as long as I've been here, so it's going to take a while to get things back, but we got to do something because
Where are we using the map? Bowery area?
So it's the south side where we do the car show on Founder's Day, the east side, and then some on the north, and then go on this one. Just hoping you look at it, and that's all I have.
Appreciate you bringing that. Thanks. All right, anybody else? Seeing that, we'll move on to item 2. The bills of Columbia City, consent items, the bills of Columbia City. You had a chance to review the bills. Any questions or comments, concerns? We don't make motion to approve, we pay the bills.
Second.
Motion by Gibson, second by Nelson, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries, thank you. Okay, all in favor, like,
Yeah, so
he is covering that he's. Not excusable, but yeah. Item 3 is final acceptance. The Jensen Estates Phase 2 subdivision discussion of possible consideration to grant final acceptance to Jensen Estates Phase 2 subdivision and end the guarantee period and subject all outstanding invoices from the city being paid.
Oh, forgot the word two.
Subject to all outstanding, okay. Subdivision located in the area around 975 west, 1300 north. I assume everybody else has been around a while. So this is the final acceptance. Amy,
Okay, so, before you this evening is that final acceptance, my mic is on. Our engineering staff has gone and reviewed, to establish the final, quality of the improvements and recommends approval. I don't know if there's any questions on that.
yes, correct.
Yes,
And please repeat your satisfaction.
yes.
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to grant final acceptance for the city states phase 2 subdivision. Returning to staff recommendations.
I'll second that.
Motion by Yuri, second by Nelson, for the discussion. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, the public hearing. Amendment budget. Discussion of possible consideration to amend the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget, resolution 2024-E. And the Laurie will, I did it, want to go to public hearing. Mayor, I'll make the motion to end the public hearing.
I'll second that motion.
I think this is, it ought to just be advertised in the public hearing, and then your public hearing has cracked enough that we ought to do this stuff, but that's the law. All right, motion by Gibson, second by Yuri, all in favor, say aye. Okay, public hearing. Laurie, you want to vote for you? Yeah, right?
We do have a member of the public with us, though.
Yeah.
That's always good.
But it should be just like, you call it on the agenda, you're in a public hearing. I don't know. We're in a public meeting, though, when we need to go into. Yeah. I think it's. Tomato, tomato. All right.
You have the resolution in front of you. The first one is 2 items in the general fund. One of them, you remember Heather was here and got the award, and they're doing a certificate of accomplishment, and giving her a $1,300. Well, it's a 3% increase, and it's just for the rest of this year.
So it's similar to, the proposal is for the city too. So this is similar to when in our police department, there's a rank move from officer to master officer, or with our public works, the O&Ms. Heather's gone through a substantial certification, actually, to the point where I think she's completed most all of what's available. And just wanted to basically acknowledge that and compensate for the knowledge that she's obtained.
The other one is that full-time position that was hired on the planning. It was 3/4, and now we're moving to a full-time. So the net amount in the general fund is going to be $6,500. So I thought I better tell you the difference. So we're taking about $10,000 from the court. That's where the prior person was helping the court, and adding $8,250 to planning, and adding an additional $8,250 to building, with a net of $6,500 on that one. In the road fund, is all this asphalt patching. We didn't budget anything, but we're gonna move it from one fund to the road fund, 38,000. The other one's the equipment fund. It's for the generator project. We thought we had 4 of those ones, and we have not. So we're moving it from last year, this year, 75,000 in the equipment fund. Then also in the water fund, the same thing, 0 to 70,000 for that project. And the last thing is on the equipment and supply maintenance expenditure. just because of the increase of supply costs, the budget's 95,000, but we're guessing by the end of the year, it'll be about 115. So those are the changes.
So like the generator problems, that was budgeted last year, but we didn't get to them, so they're carried.
Yeah, I never feel it moving forward.
Laurie, on on the new hire, maybe I heard wrong, is it not going to the courts anymore, or is that,
She was helping, well,
So-
it's a new position.
so the new planner won't be involved with the courts?
No,
Okay, so we're
we're
taking that,
taking payments like any of us, but not,
not part of the budget, so we're taking that part out.
multi-planning and realty.
So when we approved the position prior, we had failed to include a budget amendment with that. And so, or when you all approved the shift in the position to full-time. And so this is really a cleanup item. So the position matches the description that you saw prior and really as a focus on planning.
Because I thought there still wasn't a court component in that position, but that's.
So it's very brief. It's the same to Laurie's point as the general support. So it'll be helping with payment and front counter. So that does provide benefits to our court clerk, but
There was more listed in there, but after discussion here, we took that.
I know there was.
Yeah, because we discussed it. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And so,
So how does that figure to me?
so in talking with Amanda, I think that she's really comfortable with where we landed with the new position. Because her big thing is really kind of that front coverage. And this is gonna give us that full-time coverage. And so,
That's where everybody- Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to, oh, excuse me, yeah, close.
any public wish to address this? See none, entertain a motion.
Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second. Okay. Motion by Gibson, second by Nelson. All fair side? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Somebody,
So what are we doing now?
Steve,
Steve, you have.
I'll make a motion that we amend the, budget for 2023-24 as stated in resolution 2024-E.
Second that.
Okay, motion by Gibson, second by Nelson. Any further discussion?
Is, you know, our generator is 89,000, how do we want to do 75? We do have-
It's also, well, that's just for these bids, but then you have all the extra work, setting them and electrical or whatever.
Is it covered that?
It'll be in the budget, but the bids are just for the generator that you're hearing.
Yeah, there are two separate funds.
All right. You know,
All right, roll call, go on. Nelson?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Gibson? Stevens? Motion carries through the. Yeah, 0, yes, with 2 abstaining, or 2, sorry. All right, item 5 is generator project. Discussion of possible consideration towards the generator project in sites of Liberty Electric in the amount of $89,350. I said,
So these are the generators we purchased back at the beginning of 2023, and they showed up late summer, and we had no issues with the hitter, or Liberty Electrical, and couldn't find any, there were no issues, so we'd like to award it to them to start pulling the generator out here for the EOC hardening, and then they'll wire in that south shop to that one. And the other generator goes to the north shop. Then you'll have, well, for added generator. Older wells. This will be outside motor. And have issues with that.
I should know this, but these are gas, natural gas, what are they?
So 3 of them are diesel, the ones, propane.
Okay, so we got.
So we have a pretty healthy mix,
Good.
diesel, we have some 2 that are, natural gas that are hooked direct to Westar. So we feel like we're
Good.
covered all the bases,
What do we do with that one up there?
surplus it. would be the same for all their plans. Just like that. Components for certain classes.
They can come back with stuff. So it looks like the next closest was almost $13,000 more. No. All right, $3,000 more. No, this week.
Yeah. No,
And you found a problem with this. What was the budget amount we did have? So that was a question. It was.
so those are the ones that we just added. So we have overage, just Alder, you're dealing with a significantly older site. So based off their base bid, unless we get into some serious complications, it should be covered with that resolution prior.
Very good. All right, any further questions? This has been kind of a long time coming. It's taken. I remember first coming here 2 years ago, asking about our backups and that kind of stuff. That was always, that was an area I was in charge of, so. Yeah, decide. Okay. No further questions, entertain a motion.
Well, Mayor, I'll make a motion to award the bid for the 2023 generator project to Liberty Electric in the amount of $89,372.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Nelson, second by Erie. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Dave, are you voting?
No. Okay, the motion carries 3-1 abstaining. And you know that, Councilman Merrick joined us. Item 6, firework bid, discussion possible consideration to award the fireworks bid to Dragon Dynamite Displays, the amount of $2,000. This looks like Sarah's gonna be. Sarah.
Yes, so we opened up the bid and we received 2 bids, one from Great Dynamite Dragon Displays and also from Vortex. We have had experience with Vortex fireworks in the past couple of years, we've been really good. There was a few little bit of concerns last year with Marshall, with the to do with safety and things like that, just made, well, slight safety pieces, but the argument displays also good on this. I reached out to both of the contractors to ask additional questions and called up the references. They both have great references. They both have, a lot of shows that they shoot locally all over the United States. Some of the differences between the two companies, Dragon and Displays offers a little bit more variety, more shells, and they also are willing to trade out some of the shells that they bid for larger ones if you so choose. But with the references to Dragon House and also with our fire marshal and looking at the references, I would recommend that the city go with Dragon Space.
Good. I was gonna say, in the, it says 3-year contract, North Island City Fireworks, so I don't know if that was included there as a reference or we're not doing a
Sorry, I
3-year
didn't
contract.
catch on that, but it says we're from the city fire.
We're not buying it for them. So
No, that does need to be fixed, right?
but it's a 3-year contract.
It is with an option of 3 years extension. That's pretty standard, that's what we've done with it.
Okay.
This is a funny catch.
Yes, no, thank you for bringing it up.
It's like to make sure I'm synchronized with Patriot and music, it's legal.
You can choose our music.
They agree with
Yes.
that. Probably place.
They'll do whatever we want.
I just want to make sure it's in front.
Yes, we already had in-depth conversations about that. I will also bring salutes, up to 25 by Vortex in the past and other companies that we used. For sorry, city salutes in the display, all the most of the police to the Washington.
Set aside, set it up.
Oh, they come in before every company that.
Sure.
You know, we had a big discussion about costs and this, boosted it down. You know, I'm looking here at some of the references that are given, those are the ones from 28 to 40,000. What did they say when you said, what was their comment on the show?
So it's on the low side, to be very honest, with most cities, but they're gonna be the best. So that's.
So for the public, Pleasantview always has a great show. I got put up against anybody, but I don't know how it works. But it's just the area that we got it, you know, but. No, that's what the public do.
Right, and I told them there's
And
a high
stuff.
expectation, especially this kind of, and has to, consider where we're sitting, and just the geography of the location, has to be 5 big and not.
I noticed they put 5 inches in 5.4 and.
Yes, that's my problem, it's that they need to be larger.
Because we don't want to cut it by $6,000 and have it be a 40% increase in.
Right, and I even mentioned the cakes, I said, we don't do cakes anymore, I said, no, you don't understand the cakes. Shoot up higher, and I said, well, you can give me a demonstration, but I'm telling you, it has to be higher than the budget. Nothing new there.
City.
Yes, it's like. He does come with a lot of good recommendations, he reached out to our fire marshal last year and had a conversation, and so. When I contacted the cities, they have no it's a long-standing.
I think the state's point though, I think after, if we go ahead and approve this,
Sure.
I think after this year, we reevaluate it and either expand. Or whatever, but I don't think we should lessen it if it needs to be, then we look at it. Because it has been a long time, that's a amount,
Yes,
so I know inflation.
that's what I was trying to explain this time.
Yeah.
The council wants to.
So, yeah, we'll just let's do it, and then
I would like to comment,
Paul's.
you know, and I know we're gonna enter a 3 contract. but
He's flexible
I
that
would
way.
like to just look at it. Make sure it's a good show, but
We could always go more, for us. We could always go more.
also we were singing on Friday.
Yeah, I agree. That's
We're
must
good.
have.
I'll make a motion there that we put this firework bid for Dragon Silent before they,
Okay. Motion by Gibson, second by Mary, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carries.
And I think it's like, during the contract, we have to, much like in the past, they've done things that didn't possibly be proposed. I'll reach out to each and every.
Need an invoice.
It is an invoice,
Pardon? Yes.
invoice, and I think we have his W-9, so. I can't remember.
No, we don't have somebody in one. The vortex, yes.
Yeah.
But not really.
Item 7, bids discussion, general discussion about the use of bids. Public.
Okay. Larry,
It's in there.
oh, thank you. I mean, with all the time the mayor's spent with me today, I'm surprised I got this done.
I know, my fault.
I know.
That's first single meeting.
It was all my fault, but it was good. And council members, I gotta hang out with you guys today too. Okay, so, public infrastructure districts, what I'd like to do, this is our first application of this kind that we've received, and I'm not really focusing on the application, but rather focusing on the process and what these are and kind of what this means for the city and whether or not we'd like to pursue and consider utilization of these tools, and if so, possible criteria in looking at this. So just wanted to kind of have a brief overview of these and what they are. So just from a background standpoint, Utah law allows cities to create a public infrastructure district to finance infrastructure deemed beneficial to the public for new development. And these can issue debt repayable from property taxes or assessments on property owners within the boundaries. So ultimately, a boundary is drawn around some specific properties and they can determine, hey, in order to get some financing, we're gonna bump up this person or this group's property tax rates to finance these improvements. A governing document is created to establish how a PID operates, and ultimately the governing document is approved by the city's legislative body if that's something that you choose to do. This includes creating a governing board, distinct from the city, and then once approved, the city does not have a continuing role in managing the PID. So ultimately, that authority is passed over to the new board. PIDs create new tax revenue through bonds, which is a little bit different than what you're probably most familiar with the tax increment financing, where it's instead shaving off and getting approval from all the entities, a portion of the property tax revenue to pay for improvements over time. So just a little bit of a contrast there.
And a quick transfer.
Yeah, of course.
So it's an additional, in addition to what they sell the property taxes.
Yes.
So it's not some of the property tax that the city would have, or state would have, like you see, it's in addition to.
Correct. So no assessment of any governing entities for property tax would be modified with what's occurring. This would be an add-on to that and governed by that. So a good example of that could be like a special district. Obviously, this isn't a special district, but just having a different group that's regulating a certain portion of that piece. I mean, of that pie, basically, they're adding a piece to the pie.
So it's paid the same way a property tax be paid, and so that the county would distribute it to the bonds.
Correct.
On top of what they would.
And that's what gives the excellent affordability with the bonding. Because ultimately, because it's government issued in that, it gives them a great rate.
But we did read that if they don't pay if they didn't pay that part of the product, it's the city doesn't.
It doesn't default to the
enforce.
city.
Yeah, we
Correct.
can Enforce the bond, the property tax payment for that, for the PID.
Mayor. I asked this question before, but it just seems like if a developer did this,
I mean, a lot of times these fees are tied into the property. You're tied into the dollar amount to buy a piece of property. It seems like they'd be double dipping, but they're charging for the upgrades, infrastructure to a piece of property. Well, like the housing development that might be. You know, their sum was lost for $300,000 with the infrastructure part in it. And then, so then this seems like, so that person's buying a piece of property, I mean, they're not getting lower than $250,000. They would still charge $300,000 plus, get so they're leasing it, so whatever, so I don't understand, maybe, how are you gonna explain that, is that gonna, are you gonna?
Yeah, I'll go into this in depth. Yeah.
No.
Well-
Well, see, that's still for us, they turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So the use of PIDs. So they can be used to provide a mechanism for projects that mutually benefit the city and a development. They can help incentivize commercial development. They can help facilitate master plan communities, incentivize multifamily and or low-income housing, enhance infrastructure, such as increasing capacity. And they are eligible to use various types of bonds, so special assessment bonds, general obligation bonds, and limited tax bonds. So the state code further defines the use of these and how those can be used. So that was established in, I should have had this bullet point first, but in 2021 as a new Public Infrastructure District Act. And one thing that's really interesting with the PIDs and with the legislation relative to this is it's continuing to be evaluated each year. And so there were some bills filed last year on this topic, and there are more this year as well. So this is quite the hot topic in adjusting kind of how these are going. And so this is something we're following. It could be modified with how we're able to utilize these. So just as a heads up there, it's yes. So just with regards to definitions in the state code, there's two different types of basically infrastructure that can apply to this. So one of them is publicly owned infrastructure improvements, facilities that benefit the public or benefit the public and are publicly maintained and operated by the public. The second is something that's privately owned, but determined to benefit the public. And looking at the establishment of a board, the board would determine that there's a substantial benefit to the development and operation of the project area. And so there is an assurance, and this line's a little bit possibly tricky, just something I guess would need to vet into more. It says they're built according to applicable county or municipal design and safety standards. And so if it is privately owned, we do have a couple of different types of standards, since we have our engineering and public works standards, but then we also have, I mean, if it's public infrastructure and private, there's typically different standards there. And so there could be some things we'd need to look at with regard to that if it were a privately owned development.
What benefits would there be for a publicly owned one? The city that could be different than how other development is. There right examples of that? The building would be pretty much the same to do it.
Because it not count, if it's publicly owned, it's accounted, it's not overall bonding and ability, so it would not counting more budget for.
Those publicly owned, we have a plan to adhere to the standards that we talked about. They can't lessen or, ignore it.
So if a big development came in and said, okay, we need to build these public streets, maybe even a railroad crossing or something like that. They came and said, is this to do all this, bring all this business? That's exactly what we're. We want them to put these private roadways in their what is better? Yes, what's better.
Well, and that's where I think there's a lot of things to take into consideration with the use of PIDs. And I kind of have a list, and it's probably not exhaustive, but just some things that we can take into consideration. So the other thing that the state code references is the type of infrastructure that can apply. And so, if I build a building with a big giant slide, that probably isn't applicable, but just some of the different things. So facilities for water, it says, or steam, sewer, storm drainage, natural gas, electricity, energy storage, renewable energy, microgrids, telecommunications, streets, roads, kind of all of those things. Inland port is an option. Infrastructure improvements, facilities, as a remediation project. So with regard to PIDs, the cities and counties also have a role in based on, and counties is just for unincorporated counties, so it's a little bit different. But with regard to the city, so if we determine that it's appropriate to utilize PIDs, there's consideration of a policy and putting something into place for that. Considering applications that are submitted, we have received one application, which is part of why I wanted to get the discussion going on this to honor a little bit their time and respect that process. To review and consider governing documents associated with an application. So ultimately, similar to an HOA, there's governing documents that create the rules as to how they'll operate. So you're basically giving governmental authority to these groups and saying, hey, here's the rules and how you do this and how you issue this financing and how you notice some of these different things. And then serving as the approval authority for establishing PIDs. And so basically the governing boards will determine the execution of that. So I just have a list of some of the different policy considerations that came to mind in talking through this with staff and with each of you individually. But just, infrastructure needs, services, and facilities. So if there's a pressing need that this could facilitate, maybe that's something taken into consideration. Long-term operational and financial planning, is it something that you feel is appropriate or matches what you think should happen in an area? Benefits to the city and development groups. So there's various ways and mechanisms to maybe have some city benefits built into that, whether it's park space, green space, increasing capacity for water facilities or different things. So there's some options there. Processing applications and establishing fees. And so looking at applications that come forward and right now we have an application. And so we wouldn't be able to retroactively apply a fee, but you can look at some type of, I guess, policy type things and basically consider the methodologies of how you'd like to go forward or not with those things. Considering commercial and or residential, you know, there's different considerations with relation to both of those different things and kids may impact them differently. So taking those into consideration and then new or retroactive projects. And so the state law allows for both to occur. Retroactive can allow for somebody to go and refinance the financing they may have, but also may open up a can of worms for people that already exist that came into the city 5 years ago or so. So just something to keep in mind or take into consideration with that. And then there's the question of public and or private infrastructure and whether or not the city has interest in entertaining both or one or how they want to look at that. And then bondable amounts and looking at whether or not there's a requirement to have a nexus to the cost of the infrastructure relative to that. So with that, I guess that's kind of the summation.
Questions, so I just want to kind of explain what I see the process going forward here. What I think is we'd like to do administratively is we wanted to present this also kind of do the options, but we want to come in with a recommendation from staff and myself as to what we think this should look like. Now, obviously, when we bring it back to you, yeah, it can be, we don't want to do this. We think it eventually is going to very likely be this, like, yeah, you need to do this, and you got something in place. Hopefully, they'll let us. You think the state is going to?
I would love to reach the forces to.
But we'll come back with a recommendation. We either take away from it, add to it, whatever. We just want you to know the concepts of what we're working on here, so that when we bring it to you, we can have a very much more in depth. As far as the application that we have before us, it's my opinion that we have an application, but we have absolutely no process. And until we have a process, we can't even, or if we have a process, we can't even do anything with this application. Other than just sit on it until we define the process. So we'll try to move somewhat quickly on this, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. And the staff has already made great, strides in identifying the concerns, the areas that maybe we can do or don't do or whatever. But what we really like is just for everybody to know what it is, and we're going to bring back something. So if you want to further educate yourself, it's under the special districts code sections that you talked about.
And I'm happy to send this PowerPoint because it does have the reference to the code.
All the 17 areas are the special districts. So
For me, and looking at that, I see that very little benefit except for to the developers. And it's really good. I'm a little kind of speaking this with the tenants for leasing spaces. I don't know how. So it'd be a benefit to them when they claim it over the track for business or whatever, because how they're going to be paying more about these taxes.
So we'll try to address some of that kind of stuff as we bring it back to you.
And I talked to Amy just a little bit here, I don't fully understand the true benefit of it. Other than, for example, where the Point North, whatever. Initially, if they can get some money up, because that's going to be a big project, right? Very similar to our, not ED, what's our project? RDA, very similar to RDA, we use tax. We take a portion of the tax to put back into that. So, those properties, instead of going somewhere else, some of these entities give that up to us. I can see that as a benefit. And if this is somewhat similar to that for a developer, I can see that possibly being, good, because that's a lot of money up front that they've got to put in. And yeah, but to go, and I don't want to go into too much detail about the applicant, but the backdate, it's just like the house, so the Ivory Homes by me. They've already got those costs built into that property. And whether they monitor or pay taxes, whatever they're not, they just had paid out of their bank account. Those people have got that infrastructure built into the cost. And so how do they go back I just don't see how that's even that, you go back then and put something on the taxes, because they're paying for the property, plus going forward, 20 years, whatever.
And it does require unanimous consent from the, it's gonna be effective, so everybody there would have to vote.
Could,
It's the board.
So the board's not established, it's set up, so it requires unanimous consent. My understanding is the landowners that are there.
They own the property.
They already own the property. It's the property.
Anyway, that's the kind of stuff.
One question for public use, not private, so there's private and public, right? Could this be used for our roads as a bond for the city to put forth something like that?
Or no, the city
That
has to do it. generally.
Yeah, that would be a separate.
So this would be.
Yeah, part of it, the money that we would get for property taxes, it could be set up to go for.
The only way that we could possibly is if, let's say it was in the surrounding area and the roads were not adequate. We could have them,
Something, but just general purpose.
yeah, we could work with them and say, yeah, you gotta bring these surrounding roads up to, not
So Amy, whatever you do, make sure that they understand.
So that's the kind of
I
stuff.
don't understand honestly
Well,
how it's working.
And
how-
it is really confusing, and that's part of why we wanted to have this discussion. I think the developers are antsy to get their application moving forward, but I think it's important, and I think that they're also understanding too, and I've reached out to them and let them know that this is our first application of this kind, and we really need to kind of drill in and figure out.
Here's another good one. The one over there, Utah.com. And this is a very pro article distance, right?
Yeah, like I said, just find out everything you can about it, because we're gonna bring back something to you.
And if there's,
And I will commit, Amy, if you will set up a meeting sometime, I'll work with you every week while I'm gone. We can discuss this for an hour or so,
yeah,
of what my ideas are and how, so we can. be
very generous, Mark.
During my absence.
Just one comment I have is I agree with the general idea that this only primarily benefits the developer, but I don't see that as a negative thing. I don't see a developer being able to finance long-term their costs as something that we should be intuitively against, right? If a developer is able to finance in a way that does not harm anybody but the landowners. Now, I understand if they were retroactively applying it and somehow harm current tenants, well, no, they would require their unanimous consent, right? The landowner, if they're coming in as a leaseholder in the property, then they're not paying property taxes. Now, they're agreeing to a lease amount that we build in and obviously pay the property taxes.
Right, and
So
so,
that's the market governs what lease rates are.
but here's the other thing too, that these type of bids and things like that would, in my opinion, if innocent word going to do it, would have to be the public standards. Because if they're not, then you're gonna have to restrict.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm agreeing with that. I agree.
I do agree, Phil, if it will benefit the developers so that we can develop, make it better. I said,
Well, they would have to make that decision if the market doesn't sustain it. They're not gonna be able to get tenants because the property tax is so high, and that's a dumb way for them to finance the product.
Right. Retroactive, for me, that's huge red flags.
all righty, so that's what our plan is. We'll be back, we'll try to address all your concerns, find out everything you can, and yes, I mean, you're not.
Oh, well, I just
You got a
wanted,
question? I'm sorry, question time.
well, we're kind of already jumping in. No, that's not an issue. I guess I just wanted to offer up. I know I tried to talk with each of you a little bit about this before. Obviously, it's quite complex. And so if you need any additional help just talking through this, walking through this, my office is open. I love meetings. It's what I do. And so call me, text me. I mean, whatever I can do to kind of help provide context. I'm going to try to be as balanced as I can with the information. And obviously we're working with the mayor, but I just don't want, I mean, if you feel lost, I want everybody to know what they kind of know what we're doing so that.
I'd like to share.
And just so you know, back in 2021, when this all started coming out, it was all living with, more affordable housing. That's why we're talking about it somehow, and I'd like to see the data or a study done on how this creates more affordable housing,
Yeah.
because that's what it was created.
That's what I appreciate it. I never heard of it until I had a meeting. So I appreciate it.
I'm sending you all the time.
Okay, no, that would be great. Yes, yep, I'll send out the presentation.
Yeah, feel free to look at that 17B-4 at their area code. Have a lot of
Yeah, it's
stuff.
Yeah, I can email this over right now, so,
Do we have a closed meeting?
no.
Item 9, other business. Chief is presenting, he's on a board today. With other police chiefs, I believe they're the Southwest branch of the library presenting. Yeah, diversity and equity and other type of stuff, so. That's why he's not here with us today. He's not off lollygagging. He's lollygagging. What is that? Anyway. I know. So that's why he's not here. So, we'll start with Tyson.
Well, we're working with the police to catch some more vandals, just had the seat ripped off and some other damage to their favorite vandal parts. No, they tried to ram the door open and sort of bent some of that. They ripped the stainless steel seats off the wall.
Oh, yeah, so
Yes,
that's crazy.
so we're working with them. Luckily, the camera system in place and was it on and functioning and so.
I hope, Captain, we need to send a clear message.
Yes.
We'll work with the police on that.
And working through reporting and all your annual reports, and then we have rural water next week. Do testing and myself and Mike Hurst will be down for CUs and
I'm going for my first time for half of it.
yeah. Yeah, 2 years like this are nice. We sort of talked some of the mitigations for the spring runoff that we had last year.
Same problem on my students were up. Was it turbidity that causing this color water?
Yes, so we're talking some mitigation for it again, but again, with that particular source where it's feeding the one whole area, you can't just turn the entire source out of the system.
Are we using wells now with all? No, are we using the wells now or we?
There's the wells are still supplementing, but the wells, the streams will take off and. No, it'll take a little longer. You usually start to see the pickup in March. You'll start to see the spring flow coming. Then in April, it's like this April, May, it's the usually die. Whatever you like.
It doesn't use solid water.
Absolutely.
I wanted to thank Brian for coming to the bids. I assume you were here for the bids discussion. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. You can see why you wouldn't mind this. Amy.
Just one thing that the chief asked me to mention, and it was very unfortunate, but we did have a fatality last week, and our officers did an excellent job addressing that and working through that. It's always a very sad occurrence in our community. And then I don't believe I have any other business. We did have a meeting today with Councilmember Nelson talking about, I did have more business, I guess. Maybe you were gonna talk about this. You wanna talk? Nope, I'm leaving it to Phil. Hey, no, I'm gonna leave it to Phil. But I appreciate all the support of staff and with the changes and tweaks we're gonna make. We do have, and I'll send an email, but Tammy Evison starting tomorrow as our new full-time planner tech. Tammy, I'm gonna have to get you the spelling of the last name.
Edison.
Evison. Yeah, there's no N, right? I keep trying to add an N. So I couldn't pronounce it to the mayor or spell it to him. It was very funny.
Where did she come from?
Yes, so.
It's just, um,
No, it's not to be correct.
So, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll let Phil talk about the businesses. I'm so sorry, Phil. Still in your thunder.
Lori, do you have anything? I don't know.
No, we need to get to you. Nope.
So, we met about welcoming businesses to the community, and I know we've talked about this previously. One of the things I think we could do, I don't want to put additional burden on staff to do any of this, right? But I don't want the only interaction that businesses have with the city to be when your fees are due, when you're in non-compliant. We don't want to be just the negative people, and I know I know our officers are stopping by, I see stopping by and being very helpful. But I would like us to, if everybody agrees, create a system where we give businesses the opportunity to be spotlighted. So with permission, what I would create is a Google form and put it out, we email it out to all businesses that have licenses in the city. Say, hey, here's a Google form, if you want us to spotlight your business, because there's some businesses that won't want to spotlight, right? They don't want, they work out of their house, they're a consulting business, they don't want to be spotlighted, but if you want to submit your name, submit a description of business, a photo, why you're in Pleasant View, what you love about Pleasant View, your website, and then we can assign those to different council members to just all create like a Canva template spotlight. Here's put picture and here's business name. And I think we keep it consistent across the posts, and we post them on our social media maybe a few times a month. And just create those spotlights. When I was with the Chamber of Commerce on the Small Business Council, we used to do spotlights, businesses love it. So if it's okay, we'll assign all those to Sarah to do, and then.
Absolutely.
A second,
No, I just actually said, I just, ever wanted to do something like that, it wasn't you or not.
Yeah, I just never had a city reach out to me and say, how can we help your business?
No,
So
I-
I'd like, with all that's going on, and then separately from that, on 2700 development, I think we should probably do a post about, here's all businesses we know about. So other people post, and we kind of respond to it. And I know we can't share it, so you ought to give us an official, what we can. I don't know what your thoughts and stuff, but, and then, Amy had brought up the idea of having an open house where we allow just set a night where we can have any business show up, speak with Tyson, speak with our police chief, speak with us, about how we can help your business. And give them some time to talk to their officials. Maybe they don't show up, but then at least we made an effort to say, hey, we want to hear from you.
On the other one, did you do a random, how would you?
Yeah, just as they come in.
You can just have,
That's what I would do.
new business Monday, or whatever, new business this month, or month
Yeah.
or something.
And we should probably have some sort of committee, I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
you could have a city council member here, I'll say, cool.
Yeah, and choosing the spot, I mean, if they've got a business license, then I think that qualifies them.
Well,
Yeah.
and the nice thing with social media is you really, I mean, you've got a great bandwidth. I mean, if you get a lot that come in, great.
Yeah.
Not great.
We've got 103 or something set business licenses, so it's not like we get thousands. You may get 25 or 30 that want to be spotlighted.
is this kids concept willing to charge?
No,
Anyone else?
That-
Part of where the local.
Less than the goal.
yeah, it's the brand new.
The one in the charter school, what is that called?
Is that a?
Yeah, they have people.
I can't remember the name of it though.
Say, we should go as a council or something too, and I'm not saying something small, but like some landscape. Let's go. They could give the key to the city with this.
No, I agree.
I recognize,
There's a lot of businesses in our city that we even as a council don't know we have. And so the general public doesn't know that they're here. And I just like to encourage people that, I mean, my wife found out about the AHA riding school that we were in a few days ago. She's like, "Then what? They had 2 horse rides, awesome. And they were great." Yeah.
Well, I would love to just have just a couple little things, something to give them. You know, we made those things for the conference that we went to, was just on the calendar, I don't know, here's a listing of a flyer and something that says, Here's your council, here's your police chief, here's your whatever. Welcome to the
Oh, great. I don't want to create a burden for the staff. Staff's already trying to keep up with compliance. But if this is something the council can take on, we can see how big of a burden it is, but I think we can do it. Feel fine.
Maybe the chamber or this new business alliance can advise us on some benefits.
Which by the way, you guys would have to know about that.
Final word, thank you.
Jason Hadley, reminded,
Yeah, it's.
February 23rd is Friday, so that was doing. So what do you think?
Yeah. Is that it, Phil?
That's it.
Okay, Sarah? Who's that?
I'm just. Well. No.
Okay, Dave?
I don't think you guys just met last week, so it's something before, something.
Okay, Steve? We're having a Founder's Day meeting in March,
Yes, I hope it's done.
March 21st, is that what it is? And
When you come back.
20th, maybe?
It's.
I have it in my head.
That's the kick off of 19, 1933.
Or anything, I don't already.
Oh, I won't back.
Yeah, it's already on the
All right, sounds good. Perfect. All right. Nothing else. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, all fair side. Great, thanks.
Maybe I have sent you several.
They're very good. I appreciate it. It'll give me a lot to go through. Thank you, Sarah. You're always very good.
Some reports.
Stay for the whole meeting.
I have a copy of their policy. They've got a good policy. Yeah, Stephanie Weaver County, Stephanie gave me a copy of their policy. So we got another email from her.